Welcome back welcome back my friends. Today we're going to be building a monolith. Now what's a monolith, you may be asking? Well, I think it's just like any singular structure that's standing. That might not be the technical definition, but I think in general that's pretty much what it is. Here are a few examples of ones that I built in a creative world. As you can see here, they're just structures, basically. Big tall structures that sometimes float, sometimes they don't. Now these ones are of course super basic, but I think they look kind of cool. But what's cooler is if they have a purpose. So the monolith we're gonna make is not only gonna look cool, but it's also gonna contain a portal that's gonna take us back to spawn chunk. Because my spawn is just so far away, I figured it'd be nice to have an easy way to get back. That's the plan at least, but we'll see how it goes.
I've looked around town and I think we're gonna go ahead and build this thing in between the castle and the Colosseum over here on top of this splotch. Right here I have this color palette, or I guess a block palette of blocks ranging from dark to pretty light. We're gonna need to get a lot of each type of block, which might be pretty tough. The stone will be easy because we have a stone generator, but everything else is gonna be interesting, especially the coal blocks. I do not want to know how long that's gonna take. The first block we're gonna get is basalt. And it looks like there are a few basalt farms you can make, which I had no idea, so we're gonna go ahead and make one of those. Here's where I ran into my first problem. The basalt farm requires hoppers, which is no surprise. I'm assuming most farms require hoppers. But the thing is, hoppers are kind of expensive when it comes to iron, and I'm pretty much completely out of iron. Now I had a working iron farm, but it's no longer working and I'm not entirely sure why. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna build another iron farm so we can get the iron needed to build the hoppers, and just so I have iron for other things like beacons and stuff. Alright, so the iron farm should be working, but it's not working, so I tried adding a bunch more villagers, which, big surprise, didn't make any difference. Now, any guesses as to why it wasn't working? I did figure it out, but it took me a little bit. If you guessed you have another iron golem spawned in already too close, well, congratulations, because that was it. You see, a while back in a different video, I trapped every single mob in the game, and I put most of them inside this big glass box, not the least of which includes one iron golem. So unfortunately we had to take care of him, and that got me thinking, well, if I had an iron golem spawned in near this iron farm and that's why it wasn't working, do I have another iron golem spawned in by my other iron farm? And yes, I do. You see, when I trapped the wither in that same video where I trap every single mob in the game, I used an iron golem to bait his wither skull shots. And it's kind of crazy that something so simple stopped the production of both of my iron farms. Anyways, enough yapping. Let's go ahead and farm some iron and then build this basalt farm. Wow, look at it go. It's making basalt. That's crazy. I mean, it's not like I didn't expect this farm to work, but it wasn't until a couple days ago that I knew you could actually make basalt. My original plan was to just go mine a bunch of it in the nether, but this is way better. And there are ways to fully automate this farm, but I'm just gonna do it like this for a while and see how much we get. Look at how low durability this pickaxe is. I did end up using the farm AFK for a bit, and I just noticed how low the pickaxe was. I am so glad it did not break. We were able to gather the storages we needed for basalt and polished basalt, which is nice. So we're done with basalt, but that's only 2 out of the 8 blocks that we need for this build. Luckily, we still have this giant stone generator we built in a previous video, so that's going to allow us to get the stone and the stone bricks. Now, I don't remember exactly how much stone this thing produces like per hour, but it's a lot. I mean, we're going to be able to fill these chests up insanely fast. 4 out of 8 items have been collected. Next up, deep slate. As you probably know, deep slate is found at the very bottom of your world. So I dug down to bedrock and set up a beacon and just started digging. Funnily enough, there's also a lot of tuff down here as well as deep slate, and we need tuff also, so I'm just gonna get both at the same time. One thing's for sure, we are definitely getting our money's worth out of these pickaxes. Next up, andesite. Now andesite's actually not that bad to find. Pretty much if you look anywhere above Y level 0 underground, you have a chance of running into it, and when you find it, usually they're in pretty large batches, and sometimes you even run into coal ore, which I picked up as well because we're gonna need a lot of that. Now I figured the best way to find massive amounts of coal ore is probably to just travel the world. You see, if you can find these stony mountainous peaks or sometimes the stony shores,
there's actually a lot of exposed coal ore on the side. Now it does take a while, but if you're persistent enough, you can find lots of coal ore this way. And that's what we did until we filled up 3 double chests. It took a while. Alright, now that all the boring, gathering materials is done with, thank goodness, you know, mining coal for hours on end, we can finally start the monolith, the monolith, the monolith, the monolith. We're gonna start now. I didn't know the scale exactly, whether how small or how large we were gonna make it. I had an idea, but I figured let's just clear out the area first to begin with, and then we'll go from there. So we're gonna go from dark to light. So we're gonna start off with the basalt, and I don't want it to be like a smooth, flat surface all the way up the side of the monolith. So I'm gonna try to have some offshoots of random pillars and columns shooting up to give it some depth, I suppose. I don't know. I just think it'll look cooler. Okay, so we're coming along. I'm really actually liking the texture that the different blocks are bringing out of this structure, and the fact that we're not building straight up, as in just like a rectangle. I think that gives it a little bit more character. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, but it's coming along for sure. Bonus, it looks sick from the inside also. So now that we've finished about half of the structure, as you can see, I put this tower up here next to it to see where we are in relation to height limit. The very top of the tower is height limit. Every little notch is roughly 64 blocks, give or take. I may have lost count a few times, but about 64 blocks. So if this is about halfway, we'll end up being probably somewhere up around there by the time we finish, hopefully. So first off, we are going to enclose this whole area. From here on up, the second half of the monolith is going to be split into 2 pieces, so the whole thing will technically be 3 pieces, for no other reason than I just think it would look better. I'm also not sure if it's still called a monolith at this point, but I'm just going to continue calling it that for simplicity. So we finished the basic structure of it. It definitely does. It's got some flavor to it, but it's not where it needs to be. Anyway, that's fine because we're not done with it, right? It doesn't need to be where it needs to be yet. But now we get to do some different things to it. For example, like taking out the bottom so the whole thing looks like it's floating, or perhaps breaking it apart at the top to make it look like it's, you know, breaking apart and floating upwards. It also could totally just ruin it, but we're gonna go for it. I try to convince myself, like, yeah, we could just put it back if it looks bad, but putting all of this back would suck. So here's what it looks like now. Hopefully it kind of looks like pieces are floating up. I mean, that's what we're going for. Hopefully we're kind of getting that vibe. Now I had an idea, so I grabbed some magma blocks and some black concrete. And we're going to try to make some pretty interesting looking cracks with those 2 items. As you can see here, I'm making the walls out of magma blocks, and then a couple blocks deep, I'm putting the black concrete, and I think that should make a pretty interesting looking effect. I also want to make it look like all the cracks are coming from the center of the monolith, so I'm trying to direct all the magma cubes like out from the center. Okay, turns out there was a lot of zombies on the underside, on the inside of this thing. Look, they're still coming out. Holy cow. How do all of you guys have non-sun-burning armor? They got the sunscreen armor on. I think what I'm going to do now is break out a bunch of the ground underneath this structure and stick some dirt and stone to the bottom of this thing to make it look like it's floating up out of the ground and taking some of the ground underneath with it. This should look fine if we spam some dirt and stone blocks all over the place, as if the ground is breaking apart. I also added some vines to the outside of this structure, so the longer we work on this project, the more those vines are going to grow and cover everything. I went ahead and picked up some glowberries because I think those would look pretty nice alongside the vines. I actually think I put the vines on a little too thick, so I'm going to go ahead and try to remove some of them here. They look pretty good, but the thing is with this shader, when they're directly in the sun, they kind of illuminate like a lot. So it looks a little strange when they're like in direct sunlight, but when they're not, they look pretty good in my opinion. All right, so this monolith, it's coming along for sure. And originally I had intended for the portal to be somewhere inside of the monolith, maybe like right there or something, and then have like a pathway going up to it, which could be cool, Or potentially I had another thought where the portal isn't actually inside of the monolith. Instead, let me show you how to find the entrance to the portal. So it's morning time, right? And you can see, wait. Very early in the morning, you can see the small little hole in the monolith that allows sunlight to go through. Now, this beam illuminates this part of the ground right here, and it slowly moves over. Now there's no seasons or anything. The sun moves in the same east to west pattern every day in Minecraft, so this will be, you know, you could use this any part of the year if you wanted to go that far into it, which, you know, I'm not. But so this sunlight shoots a beam that shines across the ground and across the ground and across the ground, and it disappears once it gets to this snow block right here. I've marked it with basalt for now while I'm constructing it, but you know, usually there's not going to be any basalt here, and that's how you would find the entrance to the portal, is using the sun and the monolith and the shadows at precisely, I don't know, in the morning, at precisely 7 o'clock in the morning. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, as you can see, this block of snow is a little bit different looking because it is a powdered bucket of snow, and this you can stand on and fly through, and this will be how you enter the room to the portal. That's the idea behind it. I think that's kind of a little bit of a cooler way to do it. Anyway, so let's go ahead and can you fly back out of this? Yeah, you can. I forgot there was basalt right there, which I smashed into, but all good. So how we're going to travel quickly between spawn and my base, because it's around 10,000 blocks, is we're going to make an ice boat highway on the roof of the nether. This portal, however, did not spawn on the roof of the nether, so we're going to make it spawn on the roof of the nether by going up there and building another portal in the coordinates that'll link that portal to the one underground by the monolith. A lot of people were upset I didn't use coordinates that link portals in my last video, so we're doing that this time. Perfect. So this portal takes us straight to and from the roof of the nether. I mean, I'll be honest, you guys were right, this was way easier. Alright, now we need to go all the way to spawn and do the same thing, make a nether portal at spawn that takes us to the nether roof. This block here is 0, 0 on the coordinates. It's actually not that far in the nether, you know, because 1 block in the overworld is worth 8 in the nether. Let's see where we pop out. I bet we won't pop out quite exactly where I would like us to, but let's see what happens. Again, I lost all my achievements when my PC ran out of space, and my game like reset all my achievements for some reason, so that's why we're still getting achievements if anyone's curious. Hey, look, that's 0, 0. I guess I made this tower before. Right. Okay. Where do I spawn into this world? So this should be where you spawn into the world when you log in for the first time. Now we got to go back to the nether roof and make another portal that links to this one by spawn. Come back to this portal we built, light it, and go through it, and hopefully it'll take us onto the roof of the nether. Sweet. So our portal work should be done. Now we just need to make a quick way to travel from this part of the roof of the nether to the other portal. So how we are going to travel is we're going to lay down blue ice along with some side rails, and then we're going to boat on it. Now you can do this with packed ice as well, and packed ice you can mine really fast. Blue ice is kind of expensive because it takes 9 packed ice to make 1 blue ice, but it is the fastest type of ice to boat on. Lucky for us, we're next to a bunch of snowy mountains where ice is very prevalent. Now we have almost a full shulker box full of blue ice, which should be enough.
Now we just gotta grab some sand for our rails because we're gonna make the rails out of glass. Smelt all that sand in these furnaces. Honestly, I should probably make some sort of super smelter, but for now this will work. Plus we have so much coal because we gathered way more than we actually used in the monolith, so that's kind of nice.
All right, boom, it has been connected. Let's give it a little test run. Let's say I'm traveling back to spawn. I would just have to get in here, hit max speed, hit the corner. Oh my goodness. There it is. Come back over here, hit max speed again. This one's the long one. This one's the one that goes for quite a while. Boom. That almost sent you straight through the portal. That's a little map. That's a little map of the track right there.
And when you're coming back from spawn, you just come over here, and instead of going into this portal right here, you just follow the line of torches right over here, down back into the nether, through this portal, and you are at my base. Welcome.
And yeah, that's pretty much the story how we built the monolith. If you like the content, feel free to subscribe.